Northern Static Series.
Northern Static Series
On CFUR 88.7 FM. Thank you for tuning in to the Northern Static Series on CFUR 88.7 FM. You can find us online at cfur.ca. We are broadcasting from the traditional unceded territory of the Lheidli First Nation, and this initiative is made possible by the Community Radio Fund of Canada. My name is Genevieve Tucker, and I will be your host today. Wild as a prairie fire, solid as a sequoia, Dawn Boudreau has climbed every mountain she's ever encountered and sung from the summit. This started as a child growing up in the ultra-rural riverside community of Penny with the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in her backyard and the northern Fraser River in the front. From the top of these mountains, she could see the city of Prince George off in the distance, and she could also make out the dancing shapes of the music career she's been orienting ever since. Dawn Boudreau, welcome to the Northern Static Series.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to be here with you today.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, it's such a treat. I'm so glad that we caught you while you were in town.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Thanks for reaching out. It's really nice to be up here. It's been a few years since I've had a reason to come up to this station, so it's really nice.
Yeah, it's really great to have you here. I'm really looking forward to reflecting on your music career and sharing your story with our listeners. Okay. So let's go back to the start with a pretty classic question. What or who first drew you into music and the arts?
My families, both of them, my mom's side and my dad's side, music is just who we are. Every family gathering, every family reunion, every event where we got together, there would be people singing, and they'd be singing in harmony, and I thought that was what everyone did. Yeah. I thought that when families got together, they jammed. And I was really surprised the first time I went to someone's family gathering and that no one pulled out a guitar. It was weird for me. Now, it's just the way I grew up. And, and also when I was young, I went to church, and I was a big part of the music at church. I went to a Christian school where music was very prevalent. It's had a lot of names, but when I went there, it was called Full Gospel Christian Academy. It's been Gateway. It's been Prince George Academy, but I don't believe it's open anymore. I don't know if they have a school anymore. It had a really wonderful, vibrant music program, and I was a big part of that, and always learning more, taking every opportunity to perform, to learn more about music. I did solos, I did duets, I did trios, I did quartets, I did everything that there was, the choirs. And then when I finished high school, I was floundering around trying to figure out what to do with my life. And I was like, I don't think I have the guts to make it as a musician. So I kept floundering, and then ended up having a family really young. Yeah. And, I was really young when I got married. I was only 19, and so was my husband at the time. And, I already had my daughter at that time, and I had a couple more babies. But fortunately, he was very supportive in that he made sure I got a piano, and I'd never owned a piano. So for me, that was a big step, and I started writing a lot of songs and playing the piano all the time, and then took some lessons, and that's when I started doing a lot of writing. Okay. But it wasn't until my kids were a little older that I actually got into performing more, and just, being surrounded by other musicians through church, through, just people I knew, we would play music together. And then eventually, I tried recording a couple of originals and had no clue what I was doing. Honestly, my theory background was so limited, and my chord knowledge was so limited at that time, but I had to get my feelings out of myself. Yeah. So gradually.
That was your medium for doing that. Yeah.
That's right. And then as I got a little closer to the end of my 20s, I discovered jazz. So it wasn't something I grew up with. And I started really liking the vibe of like lounge kind of singing. And so I started cultivating that in my life and started doing musical theater and becoming part of that community. And as I became part of the theater community, I went away from the church community. And it's like the theater people became like my family and my support system, you know?
Yeah.
And
what would you say? So were you playing piano as a child as well, or?
I always wanted to. And my grandmother taught me how to find chords. She taught me the major scale. I have a song about that I still need to record called Tone, Tone, Semitone.
Oh, cute.
And I love that song so much. I have quite a number of songs that still deserve to be recorded.
Yeah.
And I just don't have time right now. But I'm looking forward to the day that I do have time for that again. But yeah, I wrote that song about how Grandma took a moment. Her and Mom were in the kitchen cooking something, and Grandpa was playing the guitar and singing. And he said, he called her Mummy. Grandpa called Grandma Mummy all the time. Mummy, come in here and show her that thing that you showed Louise when she was this age. And she did. And she came in and she had like a tea towel in one hand. And I remember the sun shining on, I'm going to start getting weepy now. I remember the sun shining on her hand, which looked so much like mine does right now, because I am a grandmother now. And I remember her showing me, you hold your hand, you know, your fingers, you hold them in a curve. And then she showed me how to find a semitone, how to find a tone. And she showed me the pattern of a major scale.
Yeah.
Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Then you find the first note, the third note, and the fifth note, and that's your chord.
Yeah.
And then if you lower the third note, it's a minor chord. And of course, I made some mistakes figuring that out along the way, but every chance I got, would practice those chords, all of them, because I craved that language of music so much. And I was playing Freight Train coming down the tracks with Grandpa by the end of that session. And I was like, a whole new world opened up for me at that moment.
So cool. And the piano is like such a visual instrument too.
So
I find
great.
it makes so much more sense to start learning on a piano than
literally
a guitar.
black and white.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And learning, that's such a cool thing that she's actually teaching you the theory right away too, in like a digestible way.
Yes. Yeah. And fortunately, I caught on. I mean, I teach a lot now, and some of the kids I teach, they take to that like I did. And some of them are like, what? Sorry, what's a semitone? You know, like, it made sense to my brain right away. And I naturally took to that language immediately.
Yeah.
But growing up in Prince George, as you well know, there isn't access to further learning when it comes to music. We don't have post-secondary music programs here. So if you don't leave, you can't study music. And I had a family so young. So I was here until I was 40. And then when I was 40, I moved and got my degree. But fortunately, because I was here, I got to learn a lot from the people who were here.
Yeah. Like, do you have some early memories that stayed with you during those formative years?
And that's a big one.
That's a big one. But how about, mentors or other artists early on that kind of shaped
the
beginning of your music career?
Yeah. So actually, the reason I'm in town right now is to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Absolute Studios, which is owned by Maria Mikic.
Okay.
And Maria was Maria Gravener when I met her. And I was there at the beginning of her forming Absolute Studios, and I was her assistant. And I would accompany her students by chording on the piano. I learned a lot that way.
Yeah.
And she was into jazz, and I said that I really like jazz, and she said to me, "Oh, jazz is a lifestyle. It's not just music." And that actually stuck with me. And as I got older and I experienced more, I was like, Oh, okay. It really is. Like it's a way of life. And I can't really explain that too well without, you have to live it to know that, right? But she taught me how to run a show. I helped her with tickets. She made me do her media contacting and networking. And so I was calling the radio stations and the newspapers. And that's how I learned to connect with the media.
What a great experience.
It was fantastic. And I made her posters back. We were just talking about posters earlier and how we used to have such limited tools back in the 90s. And I was literally cutting out photos of artists and positioning them and deciding what colors and taking fonts and, does that look right? And pasting them on and then taking them to Staples and getting color copies. So that was a start in design, which I then went on to go to college for because we could do that here. I did a little bit of that.
Oh, cool.
So Maria was a big part of the very early days. And then as I started performing more, she was very encouraging to me. And she gave me some pointers about my voice that I hadn't known before, but we didn't really do lessons together. I just kind of learned beside her as we worked together. But she would give me pointers and say, try this or whatever. And that's when I started accessing my full range as well, because I was in my 20s, and it's in your mid-20s as a woman that you usually start to experience a more fullness of your vocal range. I found out I had a high end that I didn't know about. And then as I got out there, and she actually, the connections that I made were because of her. I met Eric Tompkins through her. He had a band that she promoted. I met David Sproul through her. I promoted his show too, and I went and I said, she taught me how to handle talent, and by that I mean how to deal with the fragile egos of performers and what they need and how to deal with them, how to, negotiate all of that. I don't mean how to deal with my own talent. I mean how to deal with those talented people. And she taught me how to not be a jerk as the talent. So, you gotta be a human being, and you gotta be nice to people and network,
Yeah.
And so, I really learned a lot from her, and I only said half of this yesterday at her concert. So I look forward to her listening so that she can know how much I owe to her, you know? But Eric and David both. Eric Tompkins, guitarist, a local jazz musician, a fantastic musician. Does a lot of Persian music these days too. And he booked me into his shows that he would put on and had me perform at Cafe Voltaire when that was a regular Friday night thing. And he would accompany me anytime, anywhere. He even helped me to write one of my songs because I wanted more jazz chords. And he was like, we could do this and this. And he helped me to write those chords. And then also David Sproul accompanied me a lot. And he's no longer with us, unfortunately. He passed away last year. He was an amazing piano player and the quirkiest personality you will ever meet. Yeah. He was such a character.
I was quite young when I met him, but I remember that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, he accompanied you for some things too. I think, didn't he accompany you for the Razzle Dazzle at your first performance with me?
Yeah, you invited me to be part of the cabaret.
Cabaret, yeah.
And I think I was like 13 or something.
I think you were 11.
Okay.
You were really little still. So shiny, though. Always so shiny.
Big hair.
So sweet. Oh, my gosh. So many good memories there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess moving into your career as a music teacher here in Prince George, can you walk me through like how that happened? Like, what made you want to decide to, move into that for yourself?
Sure, we could talk about that. It's actually kind of interesting. So, as I said, I went to school for a bit of design and writing and creativity.
Yeah, was that at CNC?
It was at
here?
CNC.
Yeah.
At that time, it was called the Writing and New Media Technologies program, and we were in the first couple years of it even starting. It's evolved. It's got another name now. But yeah, I started learning, Photoshop and Illustrator and more about web design and coding and stuff like that. And so then when I finished that 2-year diploma, I was looking for work, and I was billing myself as a designer. Like I would do logos, I would do websites.
Yeah, like a digital media artist.
Yes, exactly. Business card design, all of that stuff, brochures. And I did have some work as a co-op student where I was helping other business entrepreneurs do their own business cards and stuff like that at Innovation Resource Center. And then when I finished school, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do this now. And so I would go out to the businesses where I knew people had contacts or where I saw that they didn't really have a web presence yet, because this was early days, right? This was 2003. And so I would go 2002. And so I would go and I would try to get them to let me do their website. I went to B&B Music, which was a Prince George establishment for from the time my mom was young. Like she remembers being there when she was a young woman. So and so I went in and I knew Jay Skulton, the owner of B&B Music, because I've known him a long time because he used to play music with my uncle when they were like 14.
Okay,
my uncle Larry Boudreau, they would play for bands and stuff and for dances. So long-time family connection. So I would go into Jay and I'd be like, you should let me do your website. And he's like, I don't need a website. You know what I need? I need a voice teacher. And I was like, yeeks. Like, I can sing, but I'm not a voice teacher. At that time, that's what I said at first. I said no a few times. And then he convinced me by saying, yeah, but you have the practical experience. You're out there performing. I was like, yeah, I guess I am. Yeah, I'm out there performing when I can, when I have the opportunity. And he said, I think you've got the personality to be a good voice coach. And I was like, okay, I'll try. I finally yielded after he asked me like 3 or 4 times, right? And I had no clue what I was doing. But he was like, oh, here's a good book about voice. So I studied and I looked for everything I could in our local, resources to be a better voice teacher and learned as much as I could. And eventually found that was my passion, was teaching and helping other people to find their voice.
Yeah.
And and that's it's all because of Jay. He literally had to talk me into it.
Yeah.
And I ended up having that job with only a couple students at the beginning. And I had a job doing design at the local paper at the Prince George Citizen. And I had a job doing some design at the college. And I had a job selling fitness equipment at Rocky Mountain Fitness.
Okay.
I had 4 jobs that first year. But gradually it came to light that teaching was really where I wanted to be and where I needed to be. And that's where I ended up.
Wow. That is so cool. So how long were you at B&B Music?
5 years.
5 years.
Then there was the fire.
Right.
And then 4 years, and then there was the fire, actually. And then in the 5th year, they built us those tiny little cubicles, and I was teaching in there. Because you remember when I taught upstairs in B&B before the fire.
When it was upstairs, was that the first building B&B Music was in? Okay.
I think so. I think that was the
Original,
OG B&B.
Okay. And then it burnt down, sadly, and then it moved. Yeah. Like not very far.
Not very far, just down the block.
Still on George Street.
Yes, and they built a bunch of it was one of those long stores, and they built cubicles for us. And granted, mine was the biggest, but it was still very tiny.
Yeah.
And we even put a full-sized mirror on one wall just to make it seem a little more spacious. But it was really difficult to teach in there. You could hear everything all the way down the little cubicles. You could hear everything that was going on in the other rooms.
You could hear the guitars in the next room. And
and it was but then I moved to a house that had a studio on the back end. And I was like, my aunt bought the house. My Aunt Jenny, she's amazing. Jen Hyam, she still does real estate here in PG. She's she knew that my partner and I needed a place to live with the 3 kids, and she bought this cool thing that used to be a church, and she wanted to rent it to me, and I was like, I went and checked it out. I was like, holy smokes, this is cool.
Yeah.
And, we got everybody in, all 3 of the kids had their space in there, and it was a very unique place to live. But the studio had been built, I found out later, by another musician who I did a lot of work with, Bruce Baycroft.
Okay.
Who is also an artist. So he had built it as an artist studio, and it had windows all, you remember, all the way around.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest place to make music.
Totally.
I mean, also the coldest place to make music in the winter. We had a lot of space heaters going on. But it had the room that we needed. And so, so that's after 5 years with B&B, I left and went and taught on my own as Dawn Boudreau Music for 5 years.
Right.
Yes.
And shortly after, B&B ended up turning into Long and McQuaid.
Yeah.
Those years.
Yes.
In all of those studios, but especially your home studio, because I can remember it a little bit more, were some of the best years for me.
Yeah.
I always looked forward to going to your house.
Oh, it was
such a, it was the highlight of my week, right?
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Not only to hang out with you and to sing and get lessons, but also to hang out with other musicians that were my age. I didn't really have that outlet anywhere else because my family's not musical. I always felt like a total weirdo. So hearing that, you growing up with your family, harmonizing, that's I thought that was just something that happened in movies. I was like, there's no way people actually do this. My family, they're like, yeah, no, that's not happening at my family gatherings. It's really weird for someone to bring a guitar. If someone's bringing a guitar, they're like, what's going on?
It's funny because I've seen on movies sometimes where someone brings a guitar and everybody, to a party, and everyone's like, oh no, that guy. And I'm like, what
is that?
Why doesn't everyone have a guitar? What's going on here?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was special on so many levels for me, but I really remember, I met a lot of really great people through spending time there and just getting to be around people my age and maybe younger and older too that were passionate about the same thing.
Yes.
That I was passionate about and still am. And it really forms these special lifelong bonds that maybe I'm not super good friends with everyone anymore, but I feel like it's an eternal bond. If I run into someone, we know each other on a different level, and we're always going to be warm to each other.
That's
and
so wonderful.
Yeah, it's very special. And and I really credit you for that, for creating these spaces for artists to grow and flourish, and just the opportunity to just have that.
You're making me cry.
I had a feeling it might happen. This is a unique interview.
Yes, it is unique.
Lots of history.
That's right.
But living here in the North, there wasn't as many opportunities for music programs and stages to practice your craft of performing, especially compared to bigger centers that, I assume have more opportunities. But at the time, I feel like your business was really leading the way for contemporary artists and giving contemporary artists a stage to perform at, because there's always been the conservatory and church and different opportunities like that. But for more contemporary music, there wasn't really that happening so much. So could you recognize this gap, or did that naturally just kind of open?
Kind
for
of
you?
happened naturally, but it was also something that, so my partner through, from 2003 to 2009 was Sean Petru, who was very active in Judy Russell's
Yeah, the dance
studio
community.
in the dance community. And so we had theater in common, which was one of the things that
Yeah.
drew us together. And we together recognized that, we weren't doing classical training. We weren't, we didn't have, the same kind. We didn't go and do the music festivals like that where they compete and that kind of thing. That wasn't really our thing. But what we were doing was like teaching people how to have fun performing and loosen up and have fun on stage. And so we did a lot of, as you might recall, we would have a band that we would put together for the year-end recital. And the people who wanted the chance to perform with a band could.
Yeah.
The people who wanted to do something more theatrical with a song and dance number, we would put that together as a group, and we would get a choreographer in, and we would have our group rehearsals, and then we would perform those group numbers. And it became more obvious that really, being in front of an audience was where we were specializing. It wasn't just about training their voices. It was about training performers.
Yeah.
And giving them the opportunity to feel relaxed in front of an audience because they were doing it often.
Yeah.
And so we would create opportunities all year long. Then when the Waddling Duck came along and they had that room, we would rent that room. We did art space shows. We tried, I can't remember everything right now. I know it started with Café Voltaire.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yep.
Books and Company,
Yep.
Cafe
Books
Voltaire.
and Company was a very
Yeah.
big part of it. And Jim Brinkman and all of that. And all of those wonderful people there. And it was, we would just grab any stage we could. I remember some coffee shops where we'd perform once and then be like, there was no room there. We're not doing that again. We were crammed into the corner trying to perform.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where people would reach out and hire me to bring my performers to do special entertainment at special events.
Yeah.
And it really became a thing. And we were recognized as that. And it was so much fun. We had so much fun.
It was incredible.
And the number of times we did cell block tango, I don't even know, like 3 or 4 different years we did that because there were different girls who wanted to get into that character,
Yeah.
So, it was really fun.
It ended up turning into your year-end recitals Bouquet.
Bouquet, that's
Bouquet,
right. Yeah, I named them Bouquet. I think the first Bouquet was 2005. So I think that was when I was still at B&B, and I just took all my students and did my own year-end thing at Art Space. And we did a group number, which felt very flat. And then we realized we all needed to rehearse together. So that's when I started, renting a space and having rehearsals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We rehearsed at Gold's Gym.
Yep. Gold's Gym.
Was one of them.
And Judy Russell, we
Yeah.
rented her space sometimes, and sometimes Art Space. Yeah, we would just wherever we could get space where we could all move. But if it was a smaller group, we could just do it at my studio because there was quite a bit of space there
Yeah.
if we just moved the drums over. Yeah, especially the cell block tango. I remember doing that and with a number of different combinations of singers, in that studio.
Yeah,
So,
these were like really intricate
yeah.
productions.
Yeah.
And we ended up at the Playhouse, the Prince
Yes,
George Playhouse.
that's right.
And they were, like you were talking about, like live bands. So you'd have local musicians
Yeah.
performing for students who are new to it.
Yeah.
And the group numbers, like, it's a really big deal.
Yeah, it was.
you-
And it was super fun. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we had such a good time.
Oh, it was incredible for a
Yeah.
young person to be a
Yeah.
part of that.
Yeah.
Did you realize the impact that you were having on the youth at this time? Or was it just like, you were like, I'm doing it.
It just kind of got bigger and bigger as we went, and we got more involved. And I got a lot of confidence from Sean's partnership at that time, because he had a lot of show experience too.
Yeah.
And so he would know things that I didn't, and he'd bring them up, right? Which was eventually our demise, because he brought up too many things that I needed to do better at. And I was like, enough, I'm good enough. But in the mid and the early days with us, it was a really good, strong partnership. And we did really enjoy just making the shows bigger and better for the students. And yes, we knew the opportunity that we were giving them. We would talk about it. We'd be like, this is so great for these young people to have this opportunity, and it was fantastic. But then, all good things must come to an end. And when my kids all finished high school, it was time for me to go and get my own education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was, it was 2012 was our last bouquet. And at that point, we were back in art space for that one. But we still had our live band, and we had our group numbers, we just had to confine them to a smaller stage. But then I closed, and I still have the YouTube video that I created with all of the collage of our numbers, our photos, and all of the songs of gratitude that I put in the background, because I was so grateful to this community for the way that I had been nurtured as a teacher. Mm-hmm. And it was time for me to get more education.
Yeah.
And I had kind of outlived my stay in Prince George. It was time. I've written a song about that still needs to be recorded too, called This Place, which is about how, for me, Prince George was like an incubator that kept me safe and warm until I outgrew it, and it was time for me to leave and grow more in different ways. And so, it was, I still get misty when I think about that time of leaving. So many people were just so sad that I was going, and I was like, I know, but it's time,
Yeah.
Yeah. And thankfully, you were here, and Erica, and you picked up the torch of doing similar to what I was doing, but doing your own thing. And you had gone to Nelson and had more music education yourself, and so did Erica. And just knowing that my protege students were here doing, carrying things on. And so when I left, I'd be like, hey, you can go to Erica, you can go to Genevieve, you guys, you have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had such an incredible mentor to get us to that place and to guide us.
So proud of you guys. So proud of you guys. It's just, my heart just bursts when I think of all the things that you've done since, it's just amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And seeing all of the everlasting bonds that you've created with artists that you've worked with over the years too, I feel like you have created this lovely community around you of all these people who have taken lessons with you, and just that bond that you have with your students.
Yeah.
Like hanging out with someone for sometimes an hour a week, one-on-one.
Yeah.
You don't get that very often
Yeah.
in a good teaching experience.
Yeah.
It's often in a group setting.
That's right.
So that relationship is very special.
It is.
And you have so many of those special bonds.
I do. Actually, it was really cool when I went to your album release show to see how many of the young people that either I taught or that had gone through the singing competition that I ran here for 9 years before the pandemic put the end on it. It was Prince George Idol and then Limelight Quest.
Yeah.
And a bunch of those competitors from that were all there together at the Legion for your album release. And I was just like, my kids have grown up and they've become the community that I used to be a part of. Now they're the new community. The next generation has come up and they're all, you guys are all adults, and it's wild to see the cool things that you're all doing, and releasing music and, making things happen here. And it's just awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah, there's a few people that were a part of Limelight Quest. One, Grace Hawksbergen, who works here, who won 1 year.
Yes.
And we actually just did an interview with another artist, Bug Riot, who was also a part of Limelight back in the day as well. Yeah,
that's
so
super
I know
cool.
that there's there's so many people that really took a lot from that music competition. And let's talk about that briefly.
Sure. Well, that was that started off as me doing, like, when I was here still in 2011. I was newly with my husband now, Carter Horty, who was he was a comedian. He's starting to do a little dabbling in stand-up again. But at that time when I met him, he was a comedian from Vancouver, and we were in a long-distance relationship, but we talked all the time. And I was like, I want to do like a little singing competition so that my students have something to work towards in the summer. I think I'm going to do this in July. I started it in July. And I was like, I think it'll be just a good opportunity for them to try and hone their skills. And I started planning how I was going to go about that, They would have 2 songs each, and they would do, we would do one set where everybody did one song each, and then they would do the second. Because I always found that after someone did one song, they would loosen up their nerves and they'd want to get back on stage.
So true.
Yeah. So that was my experience with my students. So it was kind of started for my students, but then other people came along and wanted to join in the fun. And so I put together a bundle of prizes donated from local community and like community organizations, and there were wonderful prizes for singers and I would give the cash portion of the prize, and then there would be photography and recording sessions and performance opportunities and all of these things that musicians needed on their journey. So those were the prize packages. It was Carter that came up. He had already done a comedy competition with The Model, which was have the audience vote for their top 4. And so ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, and for every first place vote, the person would get 4 points, and so on. So we had a point system, worked really well. We had great talent that came through and rose to the top. We would have preliminary rounds, then the top 4 from each of those would move up to the semifinals, and the top 4 from each of those were in the final. So we ended up with 8 finalists. Then I wrote a song that they would eventually, like as things went on, I wrote a song that they would learn together as finalists and perform at the finals. So they got to know each other a bit. And it was really a great way for me to come back every summer because, as I said, I started in 2011. I moved in 2012, but I did the competition that year anyway. I kept coming back to do the competition every year until 2019.
Yeah.
That was my last year.
That's amazing.
I think I stayed home and ran it from home 1 year because I was waiting for a surgery. I think that was 2018, I think. I can't really remember. All the years blend together. But yeah, I had, I would have a special local performer come and entertain everybody while we tallied up the votes. And so I was able to actually hire local musicians as part of it and pay them to be there. And it was, it was super, super great experiences. And I still have connections that I made through that time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was such a great program. And not only just the opportunities for the prize packages, but it was also a mentorship program as well, because you were working directly with the artists and providing if they wanted support.
If they wanted. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And I think that is such a cool thing to offer. It's not just like a one and done thing.
No.
And then you're
Yeah, it was
offering
an
them
experience.
multiple performance
Yeah.
opportunities, which some of these artists would have never had
That's right.
in their youth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it was just so great to see who would come through every year. And it was really, I think, well, I know because I've been told by many people that it was such a wonderful service to Prince George youth and up-and-coming musicians. And a lot of people were really sad when we stopped doing it. But, as I said, the pandemic got in the way.
Yeah.
But honestly, 2020 was going to be my last year anyway.
Right.
Because I was like, this is 10 years. I need to stay and tend to my garden in Vancouver in the summers now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still here a lot. All my family's here,
Yeah.
so I come back to visit. But really, I do like to make my family the priority when I'm here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
With grandbabies.
That's right. I
Yeah.
got grandkids.
Yeah. Let's talk about performing. So during all of this, you're also a performer, you're a songwriter.
Yeah.
You've released multiple albums.
Yeah.
How about, can we go through some of, we touched on some of the venues, but during your teaching career here, where were some areas that you were frequenting and some of the artists that you were also performing with?
Right. I've done a lot of work with Max Jones, the drummer.
Yeah.
And I had a number of drummers that I worked with before that, and they've left my mind at the moment. But yeah, when I first started out, there was Eric Tompkins and Terry Kosowick and David Sproul that I would work with. And sometimes we'd all work together. Sean Smith from Quesnel would come and play saxophone or guitar with me sometimes.
So mostly jazz music?
Mostly jazz. Yeah. Well, that was I really thought I was a jazz musician in those days. And then I went to jazz school and realized that I was more of a lounge singer that could do some folk. And yeah, it was very eye-opening to go to jazz school. It's like what I'd been doing was not jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, the musicians around me were playing jazz, but
Yeah.
what I was singing was just, mellow, easy listening.
Right.
Yeah. So, yes, people that I worked with, right?
Yeah. And some of the venues that come to mind. We touched on a few of them.
Yeah,
but
that's right. The Waddling Duck, Food Teller, when it was here, that was the first place I ever performed jazz. And that's where David and I performed together the first time. And and then, of course, there was Geordie's Lounge that was here for a while, and that was a piano bar, and that was pretty cool to play in. They had great cocktails, and it was a really grown-up vibe with all the wood interior and all of that. Art Space felt like home to me. And I did a lot of shows at Art Space. The first cabaret that I ever put on myself was at Art Space. And I did a number of different shows there with the different guests. And and Cafe Voltaire was kind of a regular. It's like, I haven't sang in public for a while. I'd hit up Eric and he'd go, sure, come on down, do a set, know. That was really fun. There were some that were temporary. And, there's one place that I can't even remember the name of. They had red couches and white curtains, and they were really cool, funky. I did a few shows there. For the Waddling Duck, Maureen Washington and I would take turns. We would do one weekend off, one weekend on, so we would
it's like a
share
residency.
Yeah, and we did that for, I think we both did it for about a year and a half, and then she moved to the island, so then it was just me, and then David moved. And then it was literally just me, on my own. I was accompanying myself. That was a big growth time for me. And I'm really grateful to Kirk that he had that spot for us to perform. And, he said he loved listening to us. He's like, you guys are like a really expensive habit for me. Because he would have us there and he would pay us and really, I don't know if we brought people in or if people were just like, oh, look, there's music. I don't know, but we sure enjoyed having that weekly place to hone our skills.
Totally.
Yeah, it was really
those are such good,
wonderful.
Just to build your stamina too as a singer.
Yes.
Because you don't really
go on for hours.
Yeah.
The
best training ground.
Totally. And I learned, where my strengths were as a piano player at that time and where my weaknesses were. And I would play to my strengths and work on getting better. And it was a really good time of growth. Yeah.
So moving to Vancouver when you decided to go to Capilano to study jazz music, how was that experience for you? Going back to school, it had been a while.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing and terrifying and wonderful. Every day I was like, even on my worst day ever, I get to study music all day. Life does not get better. You know what it's like to study music. It's just like, this is hard. I'm being pushed. I used to get these headaches sometimes from all the information. I'd get this headache that would pound out the back of my head here and out the top of my head here. And I used to say it was like my brain was trying to get out because I shoved so much into it. One of the girls I went to school with, she was so cute. She said, it's like they're squeezing in one more thing. And before you know it, out pops your birthday. I thought that was so funny. It was just really so much growth. The ear training and sight singing and ear training classes that we would take, that was especially where, you're hearing these intervals and trying to name them or trying to note down as you're hearing this line of music and your brain is just working overtime, smoke rising up out of your head.
Develop little tricks to remember them,
sometimes
some songs.
Yes, songs for sure. Like the minor six, Black Orpheus. That was, that was a great one.
For me, it was A Day in the Life of a Fool.
Yeah, that's the same tune.
Is it? Okay.
I think. Yeah, and I think it's originally in Portuguese.
Okay.
Manhã. Yeah,
okay.
I think I probably didn't even sing the minor six just now. But that's the idea. Yeah, we would have songs to latch on to help with that. And sometimes it's just a feeling, like the tritone.
The tritone. Yucky.
But the other thing about the tritone is it's The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So that helped, right? Yeah.
How do you feel going to music school changed, or did it change your style as an artist?
Oh, it definitely opened up my style as a piano player, especially. And actually, I ended up going for simplicity more often and feeling fine about that. Whereas before I went to school, I felt like I needed to make it more complex. I was always like, how can I make this more interesting? But now that I have the ability to make things as interesting as I want, I kind of I'm going to go with simple because I want people to hear the lyric or I really want them to listen to the lyric here. I don't want them to be thinking, is that a tritone?
You need that space.
Yeah.
And that is such a mature thing to learn as an artist. I feel less is always more.
It can be, yes, for sure. It's definitely made my abilities stronger, my understanding, I can probably explain or understand just about any theoretical question about music. I'm not always the best at making it happen, but I can understand it.
Right.
But that's the great thing is I'm a teacher first and foremost, and to have that ability to help my students understand all of these concepts, it feels so good. It feels so rich.
Yeah.
To have all that knowledge.
Oh, totally. So how? We were moving into after school, then you opened up officially.
Yes.
Or were you also teaching at
I was
the same
teaching
time?
a little bit. After the first, so in the first year, I had just one teenager who now lives here, Chantel Johnson.
Oh, cool.
Shout out to Chantel. She lived on the North Shore, so it was kind of close to CAP. So I would go there in between classes and choir on Wednesdays, and I would teach her voice. Then at the end of the first year, I gave a gift certificate for a friend of mine, and my first piano students, the Page family, bought that gift certificate. It was a fundraiser for a mutual friend. I met the Pages, and Andrea and Paul Page then proceeded to continue with their daughter Sierra in lessons and told all of their friends, which are many. And I ended up having a number of students. I think I had like maybe 10 students by the end of my second year of university. And then in my third year, I had to shuffle some things around. Oh, no, it was fourth year that my daughter Lydia was living in Vancouver. And so she actually helped me take some of the students I couldn't handle that year. And then at the end of school, in May of 2016, I opened officially and registered the business Limelight Quest Academy. So I named it for the singing competition and just added Academy to the logo. I already had the logo, and I just loved the idea of being on a quest for that time in the spotlight on the stage, and not everybody who studies with Limelight Quest Academy is searching for the spotlight, but I just loved that idea. So we're going to be celebrating 10 years in May. And
May of 2026.
May of 2026, that's right. It'll be our 10th anniversary, which feels
That's incredible.
amazing. I can't believe how fast it's gone.
Yeah. And tell us about your business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I started with that one voice student on the North Shore and then one piano student. And then it just ended up that people were spreading the word, and it ended up mainly piano. And as that, as I got to the point where there got to be too many referrals, and people were asking me to teach guitar, which I don't teach. And so then I brought on board my friend Kyle Hayes, who I had gone to school with at CAP. And so he started teaching alongside me. And that was, I had to really think about how I was going to do that. I didn't want it to I thought about contracts, like how do I bring this person into my business? I don't want employees again. I did employees at Dawn Boudreau Music. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of responsibility. I didn't want that responsibility again. So what I've decided to do as Limelight Quest Academy, as I add teachers, I work for them. So they essentially have hired Limelight Quest Academy as their administrator.
Yeah.
And so that is my business model. We all go into people's homes because that's what I did when I was in university, and everyone got spoiled. And really, if you've ever been to Vancouver, lived in Vancouver, the traffic is insane, and it's only getting worse. And the commutes are the killer part of living there.
Yeah.
And so for us to go into their neighborhood and go from house to house, they're just like, oh, thank you. This is one less place we have to drive every week.
Yeah.
So now we have 15 teachers.
Wow.
And it's mainly piano and voice, but we also have drums and cello and saxophone, all the woodwinds. Guitars, ukulele, trumpet. We also teach people how to record, using the DAW computer softwares can be quite hard to navigate. So we've got a guy that does that.
Wow.
And one of our teachers is even, she also could teach dulcimer. We decided to take that off of there, but she can because she had such a long list of what she could do. So Frida she has the ability to bring recording equipment to somebody's home and record them. And she's skilled at that as well. Yeah, we have a great team, and they're all self-employed, but they're all part of Limelight Quest Academy.
How
Yeah.
many students collectively are there right
Over
now?
140.
Wow.
And only 29 of those are mine.
Okay.
So I've gone down to 4 days a week of teaching.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time doing administration. I'm very happy to do that. And I'm very happy to go teach when I get the chance because there's balance and it's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
Have you ever found that you were spending so much time giving your creativity to others? How have you learned to like balance not giving too much and saving some for yourself?
It's a little unbalanced at the moment.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. As I said, I have a number of songs that still, feel like I still owe it to them to be recorded.
Yeah.
Every time I feel like I'm about to throw in the towel as a performer entirely, somebody comes and invites me to do a special on a radio show, and I realize that, no, I am a performer.
Yeah.
I am a musician, and that is who I am in my blood and my bones, and
Yeah.
that's never going to change.
Yeah.
Even if I'm struggling with my voice because of medications I'm on, and it's not 100% there for me right now, it will be again. This
Yeah.
is just a season. And the music will always be part of who I am. Right now, I am giving a lot of my lifeblood to the administration and the building of the business. But when I do sit down at the piano or with my guitar, it's just like, yeah, it's like getting into a warm bath. You know, it's just like
nothing better.
It's the best. And playing the music that I've written. And, you know, as we're sitting here talking and you're like, we could have done a double on this, you know, 53 years is a long time to be on the planet. And one of the most recent songs I've written, which I'm hoping will be the foundation for the musical that I have been thinking about writing for so many years,
Cool.
has the line, how many women have I been?
Wow.
And how many lifetimes have slipped through my fingertips and are blown away now on the wind? It's so true. I've been so many women, and each one of them I feel a love for, even if that's not who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not done yet. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, just the hot flashes are just leading me into the next stage,
The next season.
the next season, and I am welcoming it with open arms.
I love that. How do you feel about streaming culture and the way music is consumed today?
I feel overwhelmed. That's one of the things that started pushing me away from creating. Is that it? There's just so much music out there. I feel lost in the pile.
Yeah.
As my dad called it yesterday, the steaming pile.
Fair. What's a non-musical passion that fuels or inspires your creativity?
Gardening.
I had that answer written down. I was like, it's going to be gardening. What's your favorite plant to grow?
Ooh, you know, oh, that's tough because I have a lot of favorites, but the herbs, the healing herbs, the calendula and the sage, and things I can cook with like thyme and rosemary. I love that.
What is your favorite musician to listen to these days? Or who are you currently listening to?
I listen to a lot of Fleetwood Mac, but Adele is always Adele.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's one of the most memorable performances you've ever played?
Oh, I would have to say opening for Divine Brown at the Prince George Playhouse.
I was there.
Yeah, that was so cool. What a great opportunity and experience that was. Like, she was on tour and they asked me to be the local opener.
Amazing.
And, you know, I had my guys up there with me, Max and Justin Fry was on saxophone, and it was just a really cool experience.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Where do you see opportunity for growth in the northern music ecosystem?
I don't live here anymore.
I know.
So I don't get to see it all. But you know what happens to me is people say, where should I play in Prince George? And I don't know.
More venues.
More venues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been the most difficult part of sustaining a music career so far?
The opportunity and largeness of the internet. It's really hard to figure out where people are hanging that
Yeah.
will like my music.
Yeah, to find your people.
Find my people. And
Yeah.
I've put a lot of work into that. I've done a lot of courses, a lot of studying, a lot of spent a lot of money on marketing, trying to find those people. I think I have a small crowd of 400 and something that's still paying attention on my email list, I think.
That's
400 and
pretty-
something. They do. Every time I
pretty
send
big.
out an email, a few of them drop off. But fair enough, I drop off people's lists
Yeah.
all the time. There's a lot of just a lot of emails that come in.
Yeah.
A lot. It's a lot to deal with these days.
Do you have any advice that you could lend for folks wanting to enter into the world of music, whatever that may mean to them?
You know, somebody early on said to one of my boys, "Don't ever do it for the money." Yeah, we have to make a living, but it can really suck the love out when it is your living. So just be careful of how you come into it, and if you feel like that could become a problem, then just be wary. And it's okay to have a backup plan. And also, teaching is really fun.
Yeah.
If you make your living at teaching, seeing other people grow is just the absolute best thing. And putting them on the stage and collaboration with others is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think we have a lot of lovely things and great history of your experience here, living in the North, growing up here in the North. I want to thank you so much for your time and your energy and for, your time away from your family today, too, for being here. Thank you so much for spending time with us here in the studio for the Northern Static series on CFUR 88.7 FM.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.